In January of 2000, I traveled to Chicago to interview two dentists who were defrauded by Scientology after signing up for management training courses.
Okay, this looks good on this new patient. We're going to do exam and x-rays and have Lisa do the probing.
I spoke with Bill Zizic at their office and Barbara Zizic at their home.
Well, my first exposure to L. Ron Hubbard, I never even knew who he was at a free seminar by the Sterling Group, Sterling Management Group. We went, and I saw a classmate there, and we were laughing. Haha, you know, this is kind of weird. You know, it's kind of weird, but it makes sense because it stresses organization. And dentists have so much going on, we always want to be more organized. We have a lot of things to oversee: staff, tons of equipment, the public, you know, our patients, all kinds of licensing agencies. I mean, we're always trying to be better organized, to deliver better. So this was really appealing. But the first group we went to the free seminar for a couple hours, and they wanted to have Bill sign up for $15,000 worth of courses that he had to go out west for. He had, you know, and that was for him. Probably they would charge me $15,000 as well. And so I said, forget it. We're not going to do that. I said, no, you know. And so right away they kept calling him, and he said, well, my wife says no. And so they said, well, you should really just get rid of your wife because she's stopping you in your progress. So just get rid of her. So they kept sending him material and calling him, and I'd say, just hang up. They were very persistent. I never encountered a group of persistent people like these before, believe me. And so they kept sending literature, L. Ron Hubbard stuff, and I'd just throw it away. I throw it away. I thought, this is devil stuff. I saw the commercials with the volcano. It looked like the devil himself coming out. And I thought, what is this? It looks sinister or evil. I just always had a feeling I didn't like it. So Bill went to another management seminar a few years later, maybe 5 years later, a free seminar that he had gotten a flyer in the mail about, how to get more patients and stuff like that. Every dentist is interested in that. And he went and he came back and he said, boy, I met the nicest dentist. He used to be in Plymouth, Indiana, and he's one of the head partners of this group. He made so much money in Indiana. He tripled his practice. He was very successful. He's a nice guy. You know, he's like from the middle USA, and we have a place in Indiana, and I thought, this is cool. You know, I'd like to meet this guy. Bill seemed really happy about the meeting, and so he took me to their offices. And as I'm sitting in the waiting room, I looked around and I saw books by L. Ron Hubbard. And I'll tell you, a fear just gripped my heart. It was like somebody threw a cold bucket of water on me. I felt like I was being duped. You know, I thought, what is Bill doing? You know, where is he taking me? This is not business. This is like L. Ron Hubbard. And I remembered looking on the bookcase, and they had like a little black velvet cloth. And I thought, oh, this is spooky. You know, who puts a black velvet cloth on a bookcase except a church or some cult or something? It was black, you know. So I was like ready to bolt right then. And then I saw these two little old ladies, you know, with glasses, bifocals, and I thought, well, they look kind of normal. Maybe, you know, and Bill's saying, oh, come on, you got to just take the personality test or the stress test. Just, you know, just hear what they have to say. And then if you don't like it, we'll leave. I thought, okay, you know, I'm not going to start a big fight about it. I'll just see what it's about. And so we met Louis Cologne, one of the head guys. And they had kept us waiting, and I was kind of upset because we had rushed to get there. And he goes, well, you know how things happen, and he calms you down right away. And he takes you in the office, and he kept us in his office for like the whole day. I don't know if it was because he was rocking in his chair, just kind of like going, you know you have problems. You know you need to improve yourself, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But the thing is he knew which buttons to push. He knew exactly the areas that we needed to improve. And I thought, wow, you know, here's somebody that'll speak frankly to you. You need to do this, you need to do that. And it seemed very appealing. And so we signed up for like the program, which was maybe $18,000 worth. And I said, you know, we can't pay for this now. There's no way that we have $18,000 to just pay for all the courses. He said, don't worry, just give me all your credit card numbers and then we'll just take, you know, we'll just take a portion here and there, you know, till it's paid off. And Bill said, no, you know, I want to send you a check. I'll give you a check out of the business. I'm not going to do that. And he says, well, you have to do it today. If you don't do it today, forget it. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get started. If you want to get started, you got to do it today. Maybe he gave us something free if we did it today or something, an enticement. So we went ahead and signed up, and they took our charge cards and ran each one through and tried to see, you know, how much they could take off of each one. And that was the beginning of it.
This happens to be a summary of the tone scale made over by Marcus Group that they used to show us what suppressive people were and what the different tone levels were so that we could deal with people more efficiently. They were training us in the tech of L. Ron Hubbard under the guise of doing dental seminars in order to improve your business. What they were really doing is setting us up and conditioning us for acceptance of LRH technology.
You know, we went to the first seminar, and when I first went to the seminars, I could see what they were doing. I thought, gosh, they're just trying to sucker everybody in. You know, they're having you take out your charge card, and, well, at first they were talking about the charge cards. They said, if your wife is upset about the interest, or if you're worried about charging things and getting interest, don't be that way. If you're that way, your patients are going to be that way, so don't be like that. They said, you know, you have to get comfortable using credit and you should get more charge cards. Really open up more so that you have more credit limit, you know, available to you for expansion and for what you need.
So this is one of our first seminars. It was on selling. It was given by Greg Winterig, Ravain Marcus, and Louis Cologne. And they give you the definitions for overt of commission and overt of omission. And then they tell you once you have too many overts and too many withholds, it ruins your control. You're not able to control your practice, your patients, your marriage, your business. And they use this to have you go to the Church of Scientology to get rid of these overts and withholds and these things that are holding you back. And then what they don't tell you, though, is that they're using mind control. They're getting a commission for referring you to the church, and they're a feeder group to send to dentists and chiropractors and veterinarians and optometrists who have businesses that have money that they can tap into this resource and feed this money into the Church of Scientology.
You'd hear them talk about charge cards, charging. They would be very chauvinistic about women, you know, would always be putting them down. And I'd always raise my hand and go, hey, what do you think you're doing, you know? You could use a man for that example, or why are you picking on women? And I remember I met one of the wives of one of the Jewish dentists in the washroom, and she goes, honey, you're new, aren't you? I said, yeah. She said, well, honey, after a while, you don't even ask questions anymore. She says, but at first, all the new ones ask questions. And that's the way it goes, because as I went on, I never asked any more questions. It started to make sense. But he would say the same things over and over, and then you got familiar with the thinking, and that's their theory. If you say it over and over many times, people start to believe it, and that's what happens. And so we started with the courses, we tripled our business, we were doing real well, but there was always the stress of having staff come and go. I mean, the girls were literally jumping out of their shoes because they would tell you that your staff has to go along with these ideas, that they have to be part of the team, they have to understand what you're doing. But a lot of what they were bringing in wasn't really management, it was more religious, it had a religious slant. They'd always put down psychiatrists, drug companies, drugs. You know, I mean, it just didn't make sense to the average person, let's put it that way, you know, that wasn't indoctrinated. And the staff were just shocked, you know, they just wouldn't perform like that. They didn't want to believe what was being said. And if they sensed any doubt in anyone, They all gang up on you to change your mind. That's their whole thing. No one can think for themselves. They're all like a bunch of little ants, a bunch of little bees following one person. You know, there's no individual thinking, really, about things like religion or beliefs. It's all like that.
I just feel as though I've been wronged, and in my other dental professionals, if I can help anybody to prevent this from happening to them and their family, I'm going to see to it that they have the knowledge that I have from firsthand experience and how they affected my life and my credit and my business. They infiltrated our business by getting Scientologists to work in my office. They would recommend that these these employees be hired because they're so clean and good and ethical and honest, because they've gotten all their overts and withholds off, and they were clear, quote, clear, whatever that means. And then they would get into your office and they would run your office and create havoc in the office. I had 80 employees in 1 year because nobody would stay in the business. Once they heard it was L. Ron Hubbard, or they heard it was Scientology, the persons that were running our office were Scientologists, and as soon as the employees would find that out, they would leave or be fired. I had 80 W-2s 1 year. It cost me $4,000 for W-2s during 1990, I think it was 95 or 96. But I could be more specific on that if I looked up my records. In fact, I did see him the other day. I think it's 96. But I feel as though they've wronged me. They'll do whatever they can do to get your money. They'll chew you up and spit you out and forget about you. I know of other cases where some of the dentists have committed fraud with the banks to get money, to borrow money. And I mean $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 at a crack. I know of instances where they've imitated people in order to get loans, pretend there's somebody else on the phone to get loans, and then because you are unable to do it or unwilling to do it on your own, they would do it for you. They would tell you what to do, who to talk to, how to talk to them, how to get the money. They would have you take your hard assets and make them into liquid assets by refinancing your business or refinancing your houses or refinancing or selling your investments in order to make your cash liquid. Then they would try to split up a marriage, get patients or personnel, the clients, to divorce so that they could divide and conquer. They could isolate you. They isolate you from your family. Everybody is an SP to you. There's nobody in your family that you can trust any longer. I mean, it's just a windmill. It's just devastating to you and to life and to your family. I feel so upset about it, and I want everybody to know that that this needs to be exposed to protect the other dentists in the country.
It kind of fractured our family apart. It splintered it apart. It pointed out everybody's flaws in the family. Like, my daughter was real unhappy by the fact that Mom was never home and Dad was never home. We were always at the church doing courses till late at night, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And when I told the people that scheduled, gee, you know, my daughter really misses me and she's crying for me, they said, well, you know, the importance is that you spend a few minutes with her every day, but you have to get on with yourself. You have to improve yourself. So it wasn't really a fostering of the family. Children were just kind of incidentally there and to be dealt with. And it made it very difficult for my children. My son was more enthusiastic about it. My daughter wasn't, because she missed Mom. But my son was intrigued by it. He was interested by it. And when he was 13 or 14, they tried to recruit him into the Sea Org. And that's an organization where you sign a contract for like 1 billion years or a couple million years or something, and you live and you work for them. I mean, they saw that he was very bright and he had a lot of potential, and right away they were trying to recruit him. And essentially the Sea Org is where you work for free and you're just kind of their slave from morning till night. I mean, you don't go on with education. They educate you themselves. And, you know, everything is slanted. There's no open education. I mean, Hubbard has his own ideas. Science is wrong, history's wrong, medicine's wrong. I mean, it just, in looking back, I can see how it just strips away all the beliefs that we grew up with our whole lives. But at the time, when they're building that in your head and kind of replacing what you know with new information, it doesn't seem so bizarre as when you can just look at the whole package. But the way it's spoon-fed to you, it kind of really sucks you in and you don't even realize it's happening. And I know a lot of people think that it can't happen to them, and I always thought that too. And I don't know how it happened, I don't know at what point it happened, but it happens. And they're very covert, it's very subtle, and it's very insidious. You don't even know what's happening. You really don't know. It's too late. By the time you're far gone, it's really hard to make you realize what's going on and to see the truth for what it is. Well, the first things we started to do were, at some of the seminars, were bull baiting. That's where you learn to keep your cool no matter what people say to you. And so it was kind of a game that we'd play at home, where my son would sit in the chair and my daughter would tease him and try to get him to react. And he'd see if he could sit still and not react. And we had a lot of fun with that. The whole family did that. So at first we thought it was new and intriguing and fun. But then later, my daughter, she really didn't like it. She thought it was boring. She was really upset that she had to sit around and wait for me when I was in session or in classes. And she was very traumatized by it. I mean, we never had dinner together. We never went to church together anymore. We never did family things together. It was like all put aside to just keep, you know, going towards the bridge to try to improve yourself. And like I said, this was a gradual process, but not only did they want all your money, they want all your time. It's just like they splinter you out. And I don't know how more people don't break from it. It's so stressful to live that way. You feel like you're on a treadmill. You're running to work to make enough money to pay for the courses that you need to take so that you can take more time off to take the courses. You just are running in circles. You're chasing your tail, literally chasing your tail.
You said that your daughter would be waiting for you. Was she waiting at the org quite often?
Yeah, she'd wait at the org or she'd wait at home.
Did they ever put her to work while she was there?
Oh yeah, they'd have her fold envelopes and do things like that.
So this was pretty standard when she'd be waiting, they'd have her...
Oh yeah, they'd try to recruit her to help, and I'd say, oh Jojo, why don't you go ahead and help, you know, rather than sit there. She would take courses, but she never really liked them. I know she did the purification, which is where they give you massive doses of vitamins. I've done the same thing, and my son and my husband did it. And she hated it. She'd pour the pills out and pour the drinks out, and they never knew, but we're real proud of her.
And your son, when he was at when he was away at military school, they tried to have him...
Oh yeah, they wanted him to recruit other kids and to bring kids into the church. And so he did bring some kids there, and that was when he thought it was a good thing, you know, when we believed in it. And they always said, oh, you have to bring more friends in, we want to spread it. The ultimate goal is to take over the world. I mean, it's not just like to help people have a good religion and improve yourself and your being. No, the whole purpose is to take over the whole world. To take over the whole world, and if they take over the whole world, no one will think for themselves ever again. Because they downplay any kind of news media, any kind of radio, TV, any kind of informative way. I mean, they always used to knock the ADA, the American Dental Association. The business group would knock that, the Marcus group.
We were talking about the Purif. You actually have damage from it.
Yeah, I have elevated liver enzymes, and I'm having a hard time getting insurance from it. And what they do is they send you to a chiropractor to clear you for the purification. Because I think that any medical doctor, any normal medical physician would say, wait a minute, what is this program? And I don't think you should do it. So they have a chiropractor clear you to do this purification rundown, but the chiropractor is always a member of the Church of Scientology, and they've already been into it, and they've been brainwashed anyway, so they think it's a good thing. And the church is always number one. It exceeds the government, your profession, everything. You know, so if Hubbard says, if Ron says it's good for you, then you put all the stuff, all your learning aside, and I don't know how that happens, but you do, and you go ahead with this program. And as a result of taking massive doses of niacin, I believe that that's why my liver enzymes are elevated. And I'm checking into that now. But niacin has been linked to creating liver problems. And that's never revealed to you or anything when you're in the purification. It's run by a kid. It's a kid that's doing it. He oversees it, you know. He's done it before, and he's your overseer. He has no medical or professional background at all. It's just a kid, you know, that they recruited that believes in it too. And believe me, there's a lot of doctors that are not MDs, but I mean a lot of optometrists, dentists, chiropractors that are doing this purification. So it's not just the lay people, it's also professionals that they're duping into it.
Who you would think would know better, at least the medical physicians, you would think they'd...
Well, you know better when you have your own mind. But when you're under this influence, I'm telling you, everything gets tossed aside. You just don't know better.
Do you remember when your feelings about Hubbard may have shifted?
You know what? It was so subtle, and it was so gradual, and it was so over a period of time. I don't know when it shifted. I really don't know when it shifted. And I, even though some of the stuff made sense to me, I always gripped to the fact that I was Catholic. That was like my saving thing. I'm Catholic, but I'm Catholic, but I'm... Because I was afraid, you know. I was afraid. It just frightened the pants off of me, the whole cult idea of it. And then the leader of the business group, Ravane Marcus, he met with us, him and his wife. They took Bill and I to dinner, and all through dinner they said, oh, you'll just be best friends. We're going to help you improve your practice, but you have to improve yourselves. If your relationship improves, then your business will improve and things will go better. And so, of course, Bill and I wanted to improve, and that was our downfall. We wanted to improve.
There were people from the Church of Scientology downtown in Chicago, referred to as the org, that would come to the Marcus Group and be introduced to the clients of the Marcus Group, who were professionals, dentists, chiropractors, veterinarians, and optometrists. And they would become a friend of yours. And so you were associated with them, and they would then invite you to come downtown, and you knew that somebody that was downtown was somebody you had met up there at the Marcus Group. And then all it takes is a little prodding from Ravane Marcus or Greg Winterig or Louis Cologne to say, well, you're dirty, you're a drug personality, you need to get cleaned up, get rid of your withholds and overts, confess it all, and get yourself clean so you can be a real powerful being and go out there and produce big time and make a lot of money, $1 million a year out of your practice, and pay for all of these courses and pay for going up the bridge and pay all the money that you work so hard for morning till night, 12 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week to make your practice boom. They're taking advantage of your ability as a professional to make money, and then manipulate you to give them money to them for courses and books and for going up the bridge, which are more courses and books that the Church of Scientology administers.
So we started taking courses at the church, and when we first went in there, it seemed okay. There were like sofas around. It doesn't seem like a bad place. And they have course rooms, and of course doctors have been through so much school they can relate to course rooms. We like classrooms. You feel like you're back in school. It didn't seem like a church or feel like a church. And that was on the surface, you know, but it kind of takes a twist. And I always compare it to like being on a diet that, you know, when you first go on a diet, it's really healthy for you. And it's good because you're getting control of yourself and your weight and you feel good. But then there's that point in which you can take it to excess and maybe become anorexic. And where a good thing can turn bad. That's what happens with this group or this religion. The initial ideas are okay. You know, a lot of it's common sense, but it's just written down. But then it takes this funny twist. And it goes off into an area that's really kind of black and scary. It's not good. But by the time it takes that twist, they already have you so indoctrinated, you can't really see the twist coming. And that's what happens.
So you're in the course room, and you have to do a clay demo.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I'm an artist. I mean, that was fun. I like messing with the clay, you know, but to think you're paying $7,000 to play with a chunk of clay and make little people, it was okay. But, see, what wasn't okay is you had directions on what you had to demonstrate, an action or something in your life to help you, you know, clear it out of you or straighten it out or figure it out. But the girl that was teaching it, she would interpret the question one way. This was Amy. And then we went to Louis, the head guy, and he said, no, redo it because you've been doing it wrong. So now I'm thinking, okay, this kid's in charge of the course room. She's telling me what to do, but she's telling me the wrong thing to do. Now the head guy's telling me something different. So number one, how many people did she tell to demonstrate things in the wrong way for $7,000 a pop? And number two, was I getting out of it what I was supposed to be getting out of it? So, you know, I remember doing that whole course 2 times.
Because you...
But you pay each time.
And you did it twice because...
Because we needed to do it again. It's our fault. We weren't as good as we should be. Okay? But that little doubt, that seed of doubt was in my head when we came to a step and she had interpreted it incorrectly and she's supposed to be the classroom instructor. This is his daughter, his stepdaughter, and she's been in it all her life. And what really floors me is these people that have been in it all their life, they're not even up the bridge, you know, the learning thing, as much as they're pushing these doctors to go up it. You know, like when Louis was like the head of the thing, he hadn't even been through stage 3 yet. You know, and his kids hadn't done the purification and they hadn't gone up or had auditing, and they're pushing all of us like we have to do it, you know, like today, yesterday.
And the money you're paying for these courses, it's all tax deductible, right? Or
it's presented as payments for courses. It's never said that it's a donation. It's not like, do you want to donate $50,000? I would say no. But they say, do you want, you know, you have to buy these courses, you know, and auditing packages for your self-improvement. This is for your whole life. That's another thing. You purchase a course, you purchase books. It's not, and then they say, but it's tax deductible. Well, that's kind of like double gravy, you know, but they don't say, well, you're donating it, and if you don't do this, you're never going to get the money back.
But was it called a sale price, or was it called a fixed donation, or something along that lines?
It was never called a donation.
Okay.
Never did they call it a donation. Only when you don't take the courses and you change your mind and you want your money back, then it's a donation. But they I'd always say it's not really a church. I mean, they have tax-free status, but it's really like a school. It's courses. It's not really a church. They never have like a service where everybody goes. There's never like an altar or anything or prayer together. It's nothing like that. It's really like a school where they indoctrinate you the whole time.
So you never attended any type of Sunday service or any type of...
No. In fact, one of the ladies that ran the place, she says, "Oh, you know, I'm also a chaplain." I said, "Get out of here. You have chaplains in this place?" You know, or some kind of a... She goes, "Oh, yeah." We thought that was really funny because we'd been going there for quite a while and we never knew she was a chaplain or that they even had one.
So no one said, "Why don't you come to our service on Sunday?"
They don't have services. I never heard of that. They have classes. You have to go in the course room. You have to take classes, very expensive classes, or have auditing. But I never heard of a service of any kind.
You became much more interested in Scientology than your husband, and this concerned other members of your family too, that you were going a little deep into this, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had friends from the States calling my sisters that live in Europe, telling them that they were concerned about me and I had gone off the deep end and what was I doing. And my family members were upset at home and keeping me kind of upset, writing me letters and things, which is a good thing to do if anyone in your family is in a cult, especially Scientology. Keep them upset because they can't go on with their auditing. You know, they're going to get fed up eventually. So every time someone said something, I'd have to go to the ethics officer and read like all these reports about people that say bad things about other people and their religion, and then I'd have to write a report on it, and it just took me way off what I was trying to do, which is continue with the courses. So it was a good thing because it stopped. And it caused, at one point, such a big interruption that I just said, forget it. They wanted you to convert. Everyone in your family has to believe what you believe. If they don't believe it, you have to just like disconnect from them. Now, I'm from a close-knit Italian family. It's really hard for me to want to disconnect with the people, but I was with my family, but I was getting pushed into that. And I was getting pushed to separate from my husband. I mean, I think they figured out that I was a soft touch and he wasn't. He just got so fed up giving them money. Their whole idea is when you need it, at the time of need is the time that you pay. Not at the time of taking the service. When you need it, you have to pay for it. And it just got to be like a joke among the doctors in our group. We're like, oh no, they're calling this poor guy in. He must need something. Or if he has a problem, he should shut up. Because if he says he has a problem, it's going to cost him like 5 or 10 grand, you know? So the family helped by keeping me upset enough to where I stopped and they took me off auditing. You know, they said, oh, you can't go back. You have to take more courses. But I think the truth of it was that I had given them a big chunk of money and they didn't want to mess with me. They were just going to let me sit and spin. So they put me in the classroom with these baby courses, you know, taking a teddy bear and rubbing its tummy. I don't know what the heck I was doing anymore, stupid stuff like that. I thought, oh my God.
What is this? You were rubbing it?
Yeah, you have to do like some kind of things on a teddy bear or something. I don't know. I don't even
remember what that was all about.
I probably want to just forget it. But it's in the course, I think, How to Be a Scientologist. Maybe it's like an assist where if someone gets hurt, you do all that, whatever.
Were you ever able to successfully assist someone with a problem?
No.
Did you ever try?
Yeah. Yeah, but no.
And you were never able to leave your body at will and
exteriorize? I wanted to believe that I did, but I think during like an auditing session, I think maybe I just fell asleep or something. I wanted to go, oh yeah, I was out there in the universe. But you know, some of my friends say I was always out there in the universe, so whatever. I wanted it to really work, you know. I mean, it was costing me a lot. I wanted it to work, and it wasn't working. My life was just more and more ugly and unhappy. You know, I've been married almost 29 years now, and the first year I didn't have New Year's with my husband was when I was involved in the church and we were supposed to be divorcing. I went into Louis Cologne and I said, you know, Bill and I are just still butting heads about the office. We're butting heads. I don't know what to do. He's just, you got to call him in and talk to him and straighten him out, you know. And he said, well, you know, how many times do you think you've lived? And of course they tell you you've lived like millions of times. And he said, well, do you think you've had a lot of husbands? I said, oh yeah, probably. He goes, well then, get rid of them. Well then, you know, divorce them. Like that, you know, because if they could get Bill out of the way, then they could get access to my money, the checkbook, very easily. I was just kind of like zombied out by then. You don't get any sleep. You don't interact with any of your family. You work like a dog, you know, to keep your statistics up because you're feeding the Marcus Group your statistics, okay? So they know everything you're doing in your business. And they know when you have a good month, that's when they hit you up for a lot of stuff. That's how it works. And by you going to their classroom, they're always in contact and communication with you. So when they see you, they say, how's it going? Well, it's okay, but you know, Bill kind of snapped at me and, oh, okay, let's give you the marriage, this is that course, or let's give you this course, or how to tell when someone's an SP, a suppressive person. Take that course, you know. So let's, you know, $6,000, let's sign you up today. And Bill would say, oh, I'm not paying. I got a credit of $20,000. What, you think I'm stupid? And I'd go, Bill, please, we don't want to get them. I don't know at what point they got me. Believe me. I just wanted to be really perfect.
But you remember the moment when you decided to get out?
There were several things.
Okay.
Several things. Okay. One was the fact that they had gotten a big chunk of my money. Okay, and it took like everything I had to put this money together. And when the money was coming in, everyone started calling my office. They knew money was coming. All the different agencies of Scientology. They're like a bunch of vultures fighting over you just to get a piece of it. Okay? Each one wants you to commit to their cause. They don't care. They don't work together. They each want their chunk. Why? Because then their statistics look good and they get a bonus. It's not about the person or what's good for them. It's like, where can we get the money to meet our statistics? That's all they want to do.
Do you remember the different agencies that were calling you Scientology? Different.
The IAS, Flag, and then of course the church in Chicago. Each one wanted their own piece, you know, of money, and there just wasn't enough to go to everybody for what they wanted. And I gave a chunk to the IAS, and I know she promised me, she said, don't worry, you know, if you give me this money, I'm not going to deposit it right away. And last time she said that, it went right away. You know, she didn't hold it for a day like she promised. Well, the same thing happened this time, you know, and it just kind of like stuff like that irritated me. Here, you think that it would irritate me they're taking $12,000 or whatever. No, I don't know. So there were different agencies all wanting the money, and then each one got angry that I didn't give it to them. You know, here I thought a church was a church. I didn't realize that they were all like separate banking entities, you know, and all cared about themselves, but not the overall church, you know. It just didn't make sense. I didn't understand how it all worked.
How would they get angry? What would they say to you?
Well, the one lady from Flag, who always, when I walked in, she'd be all over me like, oh, Barbara, you're so wonderful. Your husband's so evil. You're just, oh, I don't know how you do it. You're such a big being. You're fantastic. Well, the next time, you know, after I put money in another area of the church, she wouldn't even look at me. And I thought, what's up with her? You know, what's with her? And so the next time I went in, I said, you know, you just totally ignored me and I don't appreciate it. She said, oh, I just didn't see you. I was busy. Those people have eyes behind their heads, okay? If there's a dollar or a coin, they sniff it out. I'm not kidding. They know who's walking. They grab them by the ankles and they don't let them go till they leave. That's the truth. They do. They're just so persistent. God. So she wouldn't talk to me, and then it just irritated me. And then the other one got mad because I said, well, why was this one mad at me? And then they all got mad at me. And so I was very upset by it because I thought, number one, I had done a good thing. They kept telling me, well, you know, the whole Christmas staff, if you pay your bridge, your chunk of money, they can have a Christmas bonus, or they can have a Christmas salary. We're counting on you to do it by Christmas. It's all up to you. And each staff member would come up and say, oh, will you buy a book from me? Because if you buy a book from me, then I get, you know, money for my kids, for presents, for Christmas. You know. And of course, I was a sap. I'd say, oh, okay. Meanwhile, my kids were all alone because I was like, you know, taking auditing. So that was the one thing that disillusioned me. I felt that I had given all this money. As soon as you give the money, you have no control. Then they have your money. Then they go, well, it's a donation, you know, and then, hey, you know, I didn't know you could give it to different churches. So I wouldn't ever give it to a loser church like the one in Chicago. If I was really going to do it, I'd give it to a church that, you know, was well organized. Not, you know, not like these guys. But anyway, I didn't know that then. The Scientologists that worked for me in my office, they educated me. They said, you know, this church isn't that good. You want to go to that church. They were telling me where to go to get more bang for your buck, you know.
Which was the good church and the bad church?
The one in California was pretty good. You'd have to fly to California. The one in Chicago didn't have, you know, a lot of potential or higher level things. So here you have all this money for higher level things and they don't have the people to train you. Okay, that's if you look at it as a school. But the other thing that upset me was I heard the lady from Flag talking to a guy that I liked. He was a nice guy, just a friendly guy. And he had been in Scientology. He paid for his bridge when he was in the Marines. He bought his bridge in California. And I heard her talking to him saying, well, can you get a hold of your mother's IRA? You know, is there a chance you can dip into that? Because we really need this money. You need to put this on your bridge. And I talked to her and I said, gee, Sandy, I said, Jose is really trying to, you know, move up the bridge. That's good. She says, oh, he's just a loser. He'll never get anywhere. He's not a big being like you. You're really a big being. You'll go far. You need to do all the L's, you know, in Florida, because if you do that, there's nothing you can't do, you know, nothing. I had a friend once tell me that when they talked to him, and he was a professor at one of the best colleges, dental colleges in Chicago, they told him that he could even walk in front of a bus and nothing would happen. He's so powerful. You know, they really pump your ego and make you think like you're a god. Anyway, when I heard her talk that way about this friend of mine, I thought, you know, how cheap is it? Here, she doesn't think he's going to do well, and she's doing everything to get his mother's IRA. I don't understand that dual standard, you know. It just upset me. And then I was hearing about other dentists that were getting out of it, and they were trying to lure them back in, and I thought, why are these people so upset with it, you know? They tell you that the reason you leave is because you can't face something, or there's something bad inside of you. But the truth of the matter is, when you open your eyes and really face what they're doing, you run. And you run like hell. But it took me a few years to come out of it. I mean, I was very depressed for the first year because they replace everything that you usually do. I mean, I'm a shopper. I didn't even like to shop anymore. Do you know how that is to a woman? We like to shop. I didn't even want to shop. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about going to Europe, and I love Europe. Visiting my family there, they just kind of replaced everything. It was almost like there was no joy left for me. So that was it. And separating from my husband and tearing apart my family, that was...
How long were you separated?
We never lived separately in the house. I mean, we lived separately within the house. We never lived in separate houses. But I'd say it went on for about 4 months. And the office manager I had was really separating us. He really didn't want Bill and I back together, because if I stayed away from Bill and we weren't together, you know, divide and conquer, you might say.
How would he try to manipulate this?
He'd always say, well, I hope you're not going to go back with him. I hope you're not going back. You need separate checking accounts. You need your own money. You want to separate everything. He's just a loser. You know, he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. You know, which means he didn't fall for their jargon, the whole thing. The funny thing about this kid is that he came out of the Sea Org because he had a lot of tax debt. He came out to pay the tax debt, and then he was going back in because he thought it was so cool, right? Well, he starts working for us, and the first month or two really booms the practice. He worked for us as the office manager. But while he was doing that, he kept saying how the Marcus Group were just stealing our money. He said, they take your money and they don't give you a product. You don't get good staff. You don't get good training. It's just kind of a scam. He says, you know, they don't really teach you that much, and they take all this money. So he was always upset with them. But then, when he started improving our statistics, they'd have him, we paid for him to go to the seminar, but they'd have him lecture at the seminar, right? And then they offered him a job with their company. In the meantime, he decides to hook up with their daughter, who works for the Marcus Group as well, okay? But there's this big decision, he'd tell me, well, they don't want her to marry someone going in the Sea Org, because that's not a good life. So if he decided to not go in the Sea Org, then he could marry Amy. Otherwise, they couldn't get married. So this was his big decision. Now, if the Sea Org is like this elite church group, why wouldn't someone want their kid going in it if it's so great? Must not be that great. But they kind of didn't like it. They didn't want him to go. And the funny thing is after they offered him money to work for them, his whole attitude towards them changed. You know, he thought they were great. They were a good group. So he boomed our statistics for like 2 months, maybe 3, and then they crashed. He quit doing his job. He was on the phone the whole time to California on my time, finding out if, you know, they were going to allow him to not have to pay $100,000 for his past training, and they could drop it down to $40,000. So he mortgaged his mother's house to finance getting out of the Sea Org. It's comical. I remember going to the management group for the courses, and I figured out one of the reasons they have you coming back all the time is so they have an opportunity to that's their word, register you. Reg means really get you. You know, put you in the room and not let you out until you pay for more courses. And one of the things they have in the course room is a big window. Okay, so you're sitting at the desk with dictionaries and papers. I mean, it's very nice. It's like a library. And you feel like, this is great. This is school. So you sit there, and all the guys whose job it is to get money from you, there's guys that have that job, okay, they walk back and forth in front of the window. And they see who's there, and they see what class they can make up. Because after you've taken all the classes, they just start making them up, you know. They just figure out, okay, well, let's make up this course. And so they get you. They call you in, the secretary. You'll see the guy at the window looking, and you go, oh, God, I hope they don't pick me. And so then the secretary comes in and says, so-and-so wants to see you in the office now. And all the other dentists, we kind of look at each other and we go, uh-oh, we know why he's getting pulled in, you know, to get as much money as they can out of him. And so then the guy had come back a couple hours later, you know, and he's like, oh, we knew that they had signed him up for more courses, you know. What that means is you got to pay now. If they needed money, they would just make up a course and sign you up. And they promised us so many courses we never got. They were just making them up. And then after a while, you even forget, you know, what you signed up for and what's charged on your charge card. I know they charged on my American Express without my authorization. And they said, well, you know, we got your card mixed up with another client's card, so you know, it was an honest mistake. No, it wasn't. I don't know how many times they did that. I couldn't tell you. It's almost like it got so hopeless with the charge cards you never really wanted to look at them too much because it would scare the pants off of you. They take a lot of debt from the charge cards.
Did they,
or create debt.
Once you pointed out those mistakes,
yes.
Did they reimburse you, or did they say, well, let's put it toward courses?
Well, they said that they had adjusted it, but then they put the charge back on. And they said it was for something else. So they never wanted to give money back. But one time, Louis, when I went to tell him my husband was, you know, and I weren't getting along, and the time he told me to divorce my husband, well, he also got me to sign up for $6,000 more courses. Yeah. So this is the first time I really stood up for myself. I went back in his office, face to face, and I told him, I said, I'm not taking those courses. I want my money back. I am not taking those courses. And when I was really forceful and stood up to him, then I got the money back. But they never give you money back. They give you like a penny on a dollar. I mean, they just, if you sign up for a course and you don't want it, they don't give you your money back. They don't. I don't know how they can think it's their money, but they don't. Wendy, their registrar, it was her job to get your money as fast as she could, as much as she could. And I had just been in session, you know, kind of beat up. I had worked all day and then went into session, and this was 10 or 10:30 at night. It was late, and I was really tired. I had to drive like over an hour to get home, you know. My kid was waiting for me, poor kid, poor daughter. Anyway, and she said, well, she said, you really need to sign up for these courses today, you know. And I said, I don't want to. I'm tired. Well, you know, you want to really do well in life, don't you? And you want to improve yourself, and you have to do this. And she had me with the head of the church in their office. Now, we know you're so fantastic that you can do anything you set your mind to. Now, you know you are a special being. You're very special to us. So you really have to do this. I said, I don't want to. I never do stuff like that. I don't want to call the church. Go ahead, call. Get an equipment loan. Tell them it's for equipment. Do whatever. Go ahead and call. I said, I don't want to call. I said, if you want to call, you call. But I don't want to call. I'm not calling. So she got on the phone and she said she was me, you know, to the Bank of Alaska. And she said she wanted to get equipment and a loan, and she told me how you stay on the phone till you find a person that's nice. You just keep going through people till you get one in your same tone level, you know, that's a nice, happy person. And so I think they got thousands of dollars that night. Thousands. And I was just kind of like in a zombie state. I was like, okay, you know, it's not like I really knew what I was doing. Well, when I was doing the purification rundown, that's the big vitamin thing where they really give you too many vitamins, okay? And you're in there in that sauna for hours and vomiting and feeling sick. And well, it was my daughter's birthday, and she was in camp in Indiana, and I had like a two and a half hour drive to go see her. And I had been in this stupid sauna all day, you know, sweating, and oh my God. And so it was about over, and the lady that was at the desk in the sauna room, she says, well, you know, you have to go see Wendy when you're done. And I knew what that meant. That meant she would corner me in her office for hours till she got money out of me. First of all, I didn't want to pay any money. Number two, I didn't have hours. It was my daughter's birthday. So I said to her, you know, tell her I'm not seeing her today. They make you go for the pure every day, every day. So I said, I'll see her tomorrow. I got to go today. She said, I have orders. You have to see her today. I said, I'm not. I'm leaving. She said, you have to go. And I'm instructed to take you in there physically if I have to. And she started to grab my arm. And I said, leave me alone. You know, I felt like I was cornered and trapped, and I don't like to feel like that. Or like I was in grade school again. I said, I'll go by myself. Leave me alone. So I had flip-flops on and a muumuu because I had a swimsuit on, you know. And I go straight through the building, flip, 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 in front of Wendy Cooley, and I go, what do you want, Wendy? And she, you know, she had some poor sucker in there trying to get money from him, and her eyes got real big, and she goes, well, I didn't yell it. What's the matter? I said, it's my daughter's birthday, and I'm going to Indiana, and I'm leaving now. She goes, well, okay. I didn't know you had to go somewhere. I said, right. And I turned around, I flip, 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 out of there. But, you know, there's that thought there, you know, God, they're really trying to control you. They control you. That's their thing. You have a course on how to control people, how you take them and lead them where you want and make them do what you want. And I don't like being controlled. And for any Scientologists listening, I have not had any psychotherapy. I have not seen a psychiatrist. I have not taken any kind of drugs, okay? Because as soon as you do that, they think that you're not valuable anymore, that you're not thinking for yourself. The real truth is, I'm thinking for myself now. I wasn't before, and now I am. And they should all get a wake-up call and start thinking for themselves a little bit. Start reading the newspaper. Start listening to the news. Start mixing with the outside world again and see what it's like.
And you were told not to do those things.
Oh, right. Everything's evil. The news media, they're all just trying to stir it up and get you all upset. It's not true. It's not important. The news, the TV, the newspapers, of course, they don't want you to read anything that might make you think for yourself. That's the first thing they do, is knock out, you know, your contact with the outside world. It's kind of like a noose going around your neck. Your whole circle of friends shrinks and shrinks until all you have around you are Scientologists telling you whatever they want. But you really can't see that their end purpose is money. You know, they prostitute themselves for money. That's what they do. Everything revolves around a dollar. It's a money cult. That's what it is. They'll do anything, say anything, lie, cheat, steal, whatever, for the dollar. That's how it is. And the other night when we went to photograph outside of the church and you were attacked, I felt like it was kind of like Nazi Germany. To have these police jump out of plainclothes hired by the church, invading our rights to be on the sidewalk and taking your tape, you know, of what we recorded before. I mean, I kept saying, hey guys, this is America, this is not Nazi Germany. But they were being paid by the church, see? These are their tactics. Who knows, you know, what they're going to say about my husband and I? And who cares? You know? First you think you're the only sucker on the earth, you know, or the only one that's been taken. And then I started talking to the mother of a dentist who gave his entire life savings and everything, is divorcing his wife. He gave all the money to the Church of Scientology because of the Marcus group. And I was involved in telling, you know, initially he would be in the courses with us and I said, gee, this is a good thing, you know, and it's good. But he went way off the deep end. And I tried to talk to him to get him back, you know, and he just wasn't listening. So I had talked to this young man's mother. I had talked to this dentist's mother, and she gave me the name of Jim Beebe, and she said, call him, that he used to work for CAN, the Cult Awareness Network. But now Scientology has taken over the Cult Awareness Network. And in fact, at all their meetings, like New Year's, they had big TV screens, and it's a big indoctrination propaganda thing. And one of the main things was that they took over CAN, the Cult Awareness Network, and everyone went, yay, we have their symbol, we have this. So now anyone that calls the Cult Awareness Network is speaking to a Scientologist, which Scientology is essentially a cult. So, you know, they're talking to someone that's in a cult. So when I found out about Jim Beebe, and I called him and spoke to him, it just gave me such a boost, such a joy to have someone that had been in there and knew what it was about. He told me, yes, you know, what you're thinking is right, and yes, it's true. We were very happy because you hate the Marcus group, you know, for funneling you into the Church of Scientology initially. And the people there, you know, you're angry at them, and then you turn inward and you're fighting with your spouse. So it was very comforting to find someone that could help you. I mean, he was like a big Band-Aid. He was fabulous. And after I talked to him, I felt like, oh my God, there's hope, because I'd been fighting this battle alone for the past 2 years, trying to get my money back and trying to deal with my feelings and questioning what happened. And so then I said to Bill, I said, you've got to talk to this guy. He's great. He just really puts it in a good perspective and makes you feel okay. I mean, there's a certain amount of embarrassment, and you feel like you were duped, and how could you be so stupid? And I mean, whatever anyone's thinking, believe me, you think it. You know, how could this happen? But I'm just telling you, it happens. And I know a lot of dentists here that have been taken by these people. They won't talk about it, but they have. And some of them are still in it and are in the deep end. You know, they're going to end up being waiters and not practicing their profession and just being zombies. They take all their money. They get them to divorce their wives. They don't care if they have little kids. Their purpose is greater than your purpose. Their purpose is to get every penny you have, to get everything. That's their goal. And then to get your mind. We had told him about the incident the week before where my husband and I had gone in. We had gone to go for a meeting for a refund check, okay, which they've had for like over 1.5 years, and they keep holding it out like a carrot. It's money that we had as a credit. And so we went to talk about that, and my husband put his hand on the door, and they had this big, you know, fat guy in front of the door, and he was wouldn't let my husband in. And he said, where's the signed papers? Where's the signed papers? They want you to sign waivers. This is their thing. You have to sign the waiver to get your money. But if you involve an attorney to sign the waiver or anybody else, then they're not going to give you your money back. Well, the way these waivers are worded, you can't figure out what they're talking about. Of course you need an attorney. Never do they want you to have your rights. You know, they want to tell you what to do, what to sign, when to sign. They never want you to have your rights. If they're not hiding something, then why don't they let you just get a legal advice? It seems to me like I'd say, go get legal advice so you're fine with this. No, if you include a lawyer, then they don't even want to deal with you, which is totally wrong. So he wouldn't let us in unless we had the signed papers, and I had questions on it. You know, there's a lot of things like affiliated groups. Well, what is that? I want to know exactly what affiliated groups are. It could be, you know, the group we're suing. So he had his hand on the door. We started yelling, we want our money, we want our money. So they had the doors blocked, and my husband saw police across the street, and he yelled, officer, officer. And so the police came over, and we said, these people swindled us out of our money. We're here to get our money back. They made an appointment. Now they won't let us in. So it was a big brouhaha, you know. We're all like, so I told the police, you know, a little bit about the cult and everything, and they set up an appointment for 7:30 Tuesday. And that's when you came, to go to that meeting with us to film it and to ask if they would let you come in. And that was when they had all their heavy guns ready, like they were being attacked. They had the whole street staked out. They had all the windows papered so you couldn't see in, or the people inside couldn't see out, And so that's when you were jumped and taken away. Then they wanted to talk to me, and I said, I see the kind of reception you give, and I see how you want to negotiate. I said, I don't think I'm going to sign any papers on the street because I don't have a dictionary so I can look up every word, now do I? And that's when she said, well, I have a quiet place inside, and and here's these women, they must be 50, 60 years old, and they're talking like zombies. They don't even make sense. They can't even think for themselves. They don't even know how to get a piece of paper without someone saying, you can take the paper from that pile. You can make the fax now. They don't just know how.
The people that I've talked to have, become angry and have no sympathy and are relentless, and then they go up scale and they become bored or disinterested in order to get you to comply with their wishes. It's a technique that they use to control people and to manipulate people. They use it on the students that are in the classroom, and then they teach you that in order to control your patients.
I remember Ravane lecturing to us and saying, you have to pressure the patients. If you care about them, you have to pressure the patients to see that they get the work they need. You really can't lighten up. If you lighten up, you're not doing what you should be doing, because if you really care about them and you know the work they need, you have to push them. You have to get them to do it. You have to push them. And that's what they were doing to us too. They were pushing us, like in the name of good. But it was going in their pockets,
They substitute their jargon, their thinking, their line in your mind because they gain control that way, and then they can manipulate you, and then they can chew you up and spit you out once they got all your money. You're useless to them after that.
It just reminded me of like sheeps going to the slaughter. And I never thought I was a sheep myself, but you know, I always thought I was pretty strong and forceful, but I was a sheep going to the slaughter, just like the timid ones, you know. We were all going on the same road. And if someone didn't agree with them, they didn't care. Go. They found somebody else. They do so many massive mailers. And what they say in the mailers is so appealing because they study what appeals to the dentists. They know exactly what to say, so that they always have a big group of dentists coming. Then if they dirty up one area, like this area, they move out of state, like to DC or to another state, see, and then they work over there. You know, and they have dentists flying over there for their courses.
Did you ever fly over to LA or down to Flag?
We flew to Florida. They try to get you close to their locations, you know, to get you used to going that way, you know, so that when you go for yourself, it's no big deal. We went to Florida for one of their owners' seminars. All the most successful docs got to go, you know. And we got to go, and they give you an award, especially if they haven't taken all your money. Then you get a lot of awards, okay? Then they're like, oh, you're wonderful. I really think that the Marcus Group is like a funnel group for the Church of Scientology. They just funnel you into the church. You know, first you think it's for business, because had I known that it was for a Scientology religion, I would never go. You know, if they said, well, here, we're going to like teach you all this, our religion, I would never go. But what they teach you is their religion. They teach it to you and you don't even know they're teaching it to you. And then they get you going on it, you know. But they've been doing this for a long time to a lot of dentists. You know, all these Hubbard-based, L. Ron Hubbard-based groups, and they leave all this devastation in their wake that the public never hears about. Because, you know, for like 10 cents on the dollar, they buy these doctors off. Maybe they owe you $30,000 that you have in credits. You've never taken those courses. Credits. And they say, well, you have to sign a waiver, you know, which just about signs over your firstborn to them. It's a gag order, and we'll give you back $6,000. That's it. Because no more package deal. If you're not going to pay for everything, then it's a lot more expensive. And they actually steal their money like that. They're ruthless, and they go on. And they don't care. They don't care what they're doing.
I feel that, you know, that I was wronged. I feel that they damaged my business and my credit and my credibility, and jeopardized my licensure with my profession. And I intend to get satisfaction.
These management groups are ruthless. And you have to be real careful of getting involved in any group like that. They all have the same end goal. Their purpose is to get every penny you have. That's their goal. And then to get your mind. I thought, okay, you know, I'm not going to start a big fight about it. I'll just see what it's about. And so we met Louis Cologne, one of the head guys. And they had kept us waiting, and I was kind of upset because we had rushed to get there. And he goes, well, you know how things happen. And he calms you down right away. And he takes you in the office, and he kept us in his office for like the whole day. I don't know if it was because he was rocking in his chair, just kind of like going, you know you have problems. You know you need to improve yourself. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But the thing is he knew which buttons to push. He knew exactly the areas that we needed to improve. And I thought, wow, you know, here's somebody that'll speak frankly to you. You need to do this, you need to do that. And it seemed very appealing. And so we signed up for like the program, which was maybe $18,000 worth. And I said, you know, we can't pay for this now. There's no way that we have $18,000 to just pay for all the courses. He said, don't worry, just give me all your credit card numbers, and then we'll just take, you know, we'll just take a portion here and there, you know, till it's paid off. And Bill said, no, I want to send you a check. I'll give you a check out of the business. I'm not going to do that. And he says, well, you have to do it today. If you don't do it today, forget it. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get started. If you want to get started, you got to do it today. Maybe he gave us something free if we did it today or something, an enticement. So we went ahead and signed up, and they took our charge cards and ran each one through and tried to see, how much they could take off of each one. And that was the beginning of it.
This happens to be a summary of the tone scale made over by Marcus Group that they used to show us what suppressive people were and what the different tone levels were so that we could deal with people more efficiently. They were training us in the...
In January of 2000, I traveled to Chicago to interview two dentists who were defrauded by Scientology after signing up for management training courses.
Okay, this looks good on this new patient. We're going to do exam and x-rays and have Lisa do the probing.
I spoke with Bill Zizic at their office and Barbara Zizic at their home.
Well, my first exposure to L. Ron Hubbard, I never even knew who he was at a free seminar by the Sterling Group, Sterling Management Group. We went, and I saw a classmate there, and we were laughing, haha, this is kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but it makes sense because it stresses organization. And dentists have so much going on, we always want to be more organized. We have a lot of things to oversee, staff, tons of equipment, the public, our patients, all kinds of licensing agencies. I mean, we're always trying to be better organized, to deliver better. So this was really appealing. But the first group we went to the free seminar for a couple hours, and they wanted to have Bill sign up for $15,000 worth of courses that he had to go out west for. He had, and that was for him. Probably they would charge me $15,000 as well. And so I said, forget it. We're not going to do that. I said, no, And so right away they kept calling him, and he said, well, my wife says no. And so they said, well, you should really just get rid of your wife because she's stopping you in your progress. So just get rid of her. So they kept sending him material and calling him, and I'd say, just hang up. They were very persistent. I never encountered a group of persistent people like these before, believe me. And so they kept sending literature, L. Ron Hubbard stuff, and I'd just throw it away. Charge cards, charging. They would be very chauvinistic about women, would always be putting them down. And I'd always raise my hand and go, hey, what do you think you're doing, You could use a man for that example, or why are you picking on women? And I remember I met one of the wives of one of the Jewish dentists in the washroom, and she goes, honey, you're new, aren't you? I said, yeah. She said, well, honey, after a while, you don't even ask questions anymore. She says, but at first, all the new ones ask questions. And that's the way it goes, because as I went on, I never asked any more questions. It started to make sense. But he would say the same things over and over, and then you got familiar with the thinking, and that's their theory. If you say it over and over many times, people start to believe it, and that's what happens. And so we started with the courses, we tripled our business, we were doing real well, but there was always the stress of having staff come and go. I mean, the girls were literally jumping out of their shoes because they would tell you that your staff has to go along with these ideas, that they have to be part of the team, they have to understand what you're doing. But a lot of what they were bringing in wasn't really management, it was more religious. It had a religious slant. They'd always put down psychiatrists, drug companies, drugs. I mean, it just didn't make sense to the average person, let's put it that way, that wasn't indoctrinated. And the staff were just shocked, they just wouldn't perform like that. They didn't want to believe what was being said. And if they sensed any doubt in anyone, they all gang up on you to change your mind. That's their whole thing. No one can think for themselves. They're all like a bunch of little ants, a bunch of little bees following one person. There's no individual thinking, really, about things like religion or...
The tech of L. Ron Hubbard under the guise of doing dental seminars in order to improve your business. What they were really doing is setting us up and conditioning us for acceptance of LRH technology.
You know, we went to the first seminar, and when I first went to the seminars, I could see what they were doing. I thought, gosh, they're just trying to sucker everybody in. You know, they're having you take out your charge card, and, well, at first they were talking about the charge cards. They said, if your wife is upset about the interest, or if you're worried about charging things and getting interest, don't be that way. If you're that way, your patients are going to be that way, so don't be like that. They said, you know, you have to get comfortable using credit, and you should get more charge cards. Really open up more so that you have more credit limit, you know, available to you for expansion and for what you need.
So this is one of our first seminars. It was on selling. It was given by Greg Winteregg, Ravain Marcus, and Louis Cologne. And they give you the definitions for overt of commission and overt of omission. And then they tell you once you have too many overts and too many withholds, it ruins your control. You're not able to control your practice, your patients, your marriage, your business. And they use this to have you go to the Church of Scientology to get rid of these overts and withholds and these things that are holding you back. And then what they don't tell you, though, is that they're using mind control. They're getting a commission for referring you to the church, and they're a feeder group to send to dentists and chiropractors and veterinarians and optometrists who have businesses that have money that they can tap into this resource and feed this money into the Church of Scientology.
You'd hear him talk about it. I throw it away. I thought, this is devil stuff. I saw the commercials with the volcano. It looked like the devil himself coming out. And I thought, what is this? It looks sinister or evil. I just always had a feeling I didn't like it. So Bill went to another management seminar a few years later, maybe 5 years later, a free seminar that he had gotten a flyer in the mail about, how to get more patients and stuff like that. Every dentist is interested in that. And he went and he came back and he said, boy, I met the nicest dentist. He used to be in Plymouth, Indiana. And he's one of the head partners of this group. He made so much money in Indiana. He tripled his practice. He was very successful. He's a nice guy. You know, he's like from the middle USA, and we have a place in Indiana, and I thought, this is cool. You know, I'd like to meet this guy. Bill seemed really happy about the meeting, and so he took me to their offices. And as I'm sitting in the waiting room, I looked around and I saw books by L. Ron Hubbard. And I'll tell you, a fear just gripped my heart. It was like somebody threw a cold bucket of water on me. I felt like I was being duped. You know, I thought, what is Bill doing? You know, where is he taking me? This is not business. This is like L. Ron Hubbard. And I remembered looking on the bookcase, and they had like a little black velvet cloth. And I thought, oh, this is spooky. You know, who puts a black velvet cloth on a bookcase except a church or some cult or something? It was black, you know. So I was like ready to bolt right then. And then I saw these two little old ladies, you know, with glasses, bifocals, and I thought, well, they look kind of normal. Maybe, you know, and Bill's saying, oh, come on, you got to just take the personality test or the stress test. Just, you know, just hear what they have to say. And then if you don't like it, we'll leave.